It's the moment you didn't know you're waiting for.
He is Carter.
He's Chad.
And this is the Irish 365 podcast.
Chad, this is Lou Holtz. That's head coach of Notre Dame for 11 years. Greatest experience of my life. They're starting a Notre Dame podcast this summer. I have a podcast as well, but it's not about Notre Dame football, although I wish there were. But congratulations on your success. And it would be nice if I could be on your podcast, but my schedule is so hectic. But anything that has to do with Notre Dame, I'm all for it. God bless you. Go Irish.
Welcome into the Irish 365 podcast, episode 31. Irish just wrapped up a lovely bye week while not playing a without playing a conference championship game.
Absolutely. This is the first time I feel like maybe we didn't win the bye week.
Yeah.
Which I'm a little disappointed in. And, hey.
Can't see it. There you go.
There we go. Catholics versus conferences. It's much better to be independent, though.
Oh, yeah. I love my independence.
Yeah, we knew coming in we were going to get the home seed based on where we're ranking at.
Yep.
So, we felt pretty good. I guess chaos scenario happened. I did not expect to see the Clemson team win.
Yep.
Did not expect. I guess I expected Georgia to win.
Yep.
And I expected Oregon to win.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I was hoping that Penn State would fall.
We were hoping that
Texas would fall.
I think both of us were thinking Penn State loses that game by more, and there was chances for Oregon to do that last night. And I think if Oregon probably wins that game by 2 scores, we see something different. But the most interesting thing to me, though, about this is no conference champion dropped. So what? SMU went from 8 to 10.
Yeah.
Like in the actual rankings here. So no conference champion drop or person who made a conference championship game dropped more than 2 spots. I don't know what Illinois or not Illinois, Iowa State. I don't know what they ended up dropping. How many spots? I haven't seen the actual rankings, but no conference champion that was in the playoffs dropped more than 2 spots. So I thought that was really interesting. College Football Playoff Committee was definitely, they've talked about this all season long. They're not going to hurt people in conference championship games. They want people to be in conference championship games. I think they're trying to add value back to them, which is great. But we got to talk about this. That was the best conference championship weekend we've seen in
the whole dropping of the East, West, Big, North, South,
whatever.
Whatever conference divisions they had.
Yeah.
Just top 2 conference records go head to head for the championship.
Yep.
Best, by far the best weekend.
Every game we watched was great.
Yeah.
I mean, all the games, we saw lasting of field goals. SMU comes back and ties that game, and then Clemson goes down, kicks that lasting of field goal. Oregon, Penn State was down to the wire, came with an interception. That was just awesome. The SEC goes to overtime.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Big 12 out wasn't close, but besides that, even the Boise game on Friday night was 21-7, right? It was a good game.
Yeah.
It was just an awesome weekend of conference championship. So I enjoyed watching them all.
Yeah, so. Christy had a holiday party to attend, so I had to go with her.
Mm-hmm.
No complaints. It was a good time.
Yep.
But yeah, what I got a chance to watch, absolutely great football being played in the conference championship games. Unlike some years past.
Oh yeah.
What?
We're not seeing and whoever Ohio State, Penn State, or Michigan blow out Iowa by 65 points, and no one cares.
Yeah, and I think that's the trade-off in this new playoff era. Is the secondary bowls, which aren't part of the college football playoff. It'll be interesting to see how those things go. Players opting out.
Yeah.
How much excitement and relevance there is around the Pop-Tarts Bowl, the Tony Tigers Bowl, whatever it is.
We're in. Who cares about them, right?
That's right. This year, absolutely.
This year, right?
Which is interesting because there's this whole argument. It's been a long time since Notre Dame has won a meaningful bowl.
Yep.
Winning the first round home playoff game would not be winning a meaningful bowl.
Yeah.
You got to go to the quarterfinal and win that game in order to say you've won a meaningful bowl.
Yep.
And so we're shooting this fresh off the playoff committee's.
Yep. I'm feeling great.
Seeding, ranking and seeding. And so let's run through that real quick for anybody who may not have known by this point.
Yeah, so obviously our Friday night game is going to be IU coming to Notre Dame Stadium, 8 p.m. Notre Dame opens up as an 8.5-point favorite. Then Saturday at noon, you've got SMU traveling to Penn State. Penn State opens up as an 8-point favorite.
And that's on TNT Max.
I don't know what. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think this.
We're on ABC ESPN,
yeah.
which is the first time since 91.
So first time since 1991 a Notre Dame home game has not been on NBC, and also 1991 the last time Notre Dame played IU.
Wow.
There's a fun fact for
A
you.
little full circle.
Yep, and then the 4 o'clock game will be Clemson at Texas. Texas opens up as a 10.5-point favorite, and that one's interesting to me. Clemson just seems like they had a lot of luck here recently, so 10.5 points seems like a lot there.
Yeah, and that's, again, another game on TNT. That I don't know if Charles Barkley and Shaq are calling those games.
Yeah, I don't know who. It'll be interesting to see that.
It's an interesting mix.
And then the night game on Saturday, the 8-9 matchup, Tennessee at Ohio State. And Ohio State opens up as 7-point favorite. Now, that's a real interesting game to me. That'll be a great game.
I am shocked Ohio State is a 7.5-point favorite.
7-point, yep. That's what it opens at. I figured that would be a 2.5, 3.5 spread, but they're really enjoying the teams at home. And the 8-9 is the closest at the 7-point spread. So that's just.
Yeah, again, like Texas being, 11-point spread?
10.5, yeah.
10.5? I'm not surprised by Texas over Clemson. I'm not surprised by Penn State over SMU.
Yep.
I'm not surprised by Notre Dame over IU.
Yep.
I'm surprised at how big the spread is for Ohio State. Now, again, you got Knoxville's not exactly a warm weather city. I mean, they get cool weather.
Right.
Not what Ohio State might see.
Yeah.
But they get cool weather.
Yep.
So it's not like you're Arizona State coming to the heat. And I think that's kind of interesting because, like, SMU is really the only team that doesn't see cooler weather.
Yeah.
I think Notre Dame's predicted to be in the high 30s.
Yeah.
Right now. I mean, it's weather.
2 weeks.
It can change a lot in
We're
Indiana,
12
especially.
days away, yeah.
But if you're talking about a mild weather, something in the 30s and 40s, that's not crazy for the schools other than SMU. I mean, does Texas see that kind of weather? Yeah, on occasion, but not.
They looked a little chilly though in North Carolina or in Charlotte for that game. It was in the 40s. So yeah. If Penn State has any snow it's a noon game, so I think that does help SMU out. I mean, it's
and this past week I think Pennsylvania got like a foot of snow over the course of the week. So it's very possible that could be I think that's the game weather's most likely to play an impact when you look at the two teams on the field.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that one. I mean, I was disappointed. The one thing that we were wanting all year was a South team to come to Notre Dame Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I am not scared of IU. I am excited we get to play IU. Like, I think that's a great first-round matchup for us. I like us on the spread early. I'm debating taking this early because I think that spread's going to grow as we get closer to the game. I think this is a 10.5, 11.5 point spread by the time the game comes around. I mean, I'm taking the Irish on that one, obviously. It's just like, I wish a team from the SEC was coming. I know Bama didn't get in, and I agree Bama should not have got in, but I would love to have seen a Bama coming to South Bend or a team from the SEC, a Texas, or a, you know what I mean? Like,
a couple weeks ago, I thought Miami was coming to South Bend.
Yep. So, I mean, I would have loved to see that. Love to see one of those just warm weather cities have to come up here. But we didn't get that. We got an interstate rival. I mean, I don't call it rivalry, but interstate matchup, I guess.
Yeah. I think Lee Corso was still coaching last time this game was relevant.
I mean, yeah, no kidding. I mean, it's just like, I just think back where we were in August. If you would have told me IU is coming to Notre Dame Stadium December 20th, for an 8 p.m. night game. What's your thoughts there, right?
Lunacy.
Yeah.
Lunacy.
Did they move?
You're a heretic.
Are we 6-6? And what bowl game did they move? Right?
Yeah.
Like,
since when did we start the Notre Dame Bowl?
I think there's a better shot of me thinking that we're a 6-6 team, and the Little Caesars Bowl was booked in Detroit, so they had to move it down to Notre Dame Stadium.
Yeah, right. Like, some sort of catastrophe with the roof falling in, or something.
Exactly. Like, I would think more of that than a college football playoff game. Notre Dame IU. I mean, this is just. Props to Cignetti. Like, he's turned this program around fast with the transfer portal. I know we'll get into this more, but their schedule has been
yeah. Well,
Ohio State handled them. Like,
they're a good team.
Yeah, they're a good team. They're in the playoffs for a reason.
And this is kind of are they a great team? And let's not break down let's save it. Let's break down the Notre Dame IU game a week from now.
Yep.
Or maybe a week and a half from now when it's most appropriate. Let's break that down. But it is it's interesting that IU's in this position, and it's exciting. I mean, I always felt like at some point Notre Dame was going to be hosting this Friday night game just because this is history, and it just seems appropriate if history is going to be written. you're going to write history with Notre Dame being the first
Yeah.
team to host a 12 team, first team ever to host a home playoff game.
Yeah.
Like, that's a trivia question 40 years from now. Where was it done? Notre Dame. Who
Yep.
they play? IU.
Yeah.
And one team is from Southern Indiana. The other team is from South Bend,
Yep.
which is the northernmost point of Indiana. So only if we'd have had the Evansville Aces somehow
There you go.
become a Division I team this year and get in there would that have been more appropriate. The most southern team to the most northern team. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting on a whole lot of fronts. And like I said, I can't wait to break that down, strength on strength, things of that nature. We got to see who's healthy for us going into this game because I think that'll make a difference.
Yep.
You know, there's a little bit of question. I think we should be fairly good.
Yep.
Don't expect any surprises, people coming back, but 2 weeks from now, we'll see.
Yeah.
You know, the guy that comes to mind most is Benjamin Morris.
Yeah.
And if you remember, there was a lot of people said he wasn't going to be ready to come back and play at A&M. And Benjamin Morrison said, oh, no, you don't.
Yeah.
I'm coming back.
Yeah.
I don't expect him to come back. Haven't heard anything that makes me think he will, but
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see if we get anybody back that'll be a difference maker. We've got some offensive or defensive linemen, maybe an offensive lineman or two that might come back. So we'll see.
Make sure Jeremiah Love's healthy because he ended that USC game hobbled the cleats.
Yeah, he was banged up a little bit.
Yep. And I mean, we've got the conference championship rest. I mean, it's 3
He's got
weeks
3 weeks rest. Yeah.
Like he's got a week under him, 12 more days. So
Yeah, he could.
definitely hope he's 100% because I mean, this is a game where I could just see us handing the ball.
I'll put it this way: I don't think we need Jay Love to beat IU.
No.
But I want Jay Love when we play.
Yeah.
If we beat IU and we play Georgia, I want Jay Love.
Yeah, so let's get into that. I mean, Notre Dame IU winner gets Georgia in the Sugar Bowl down in New Orleans. Let's just assume the Irish beat IU. We're going to make that assumption right now.
Yeah.
If you watch any of that SEC championship game yesterday, you know Georgia's quarterback Carson Beck left the game with looked like an elbow injury, and it didn't look too comfortable.
No, he looked unpleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing where it's like, okay, he's got 3 weeks rest now. We're talking about Jeremiah Love. It's like, that's a broken elbow. I mean,
How serious is it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a question. I don't know when we find that out. I mean, I'm assuming Georgia's going to keep things in a wrap as long as possible. Do they not have to make an announcement until the week before the game, like when you have to put the depth chart out? I don't know. That'll be interesting. But that Georgia offense didn't look great yesterday. That Georgia defense is good. It's an SEC defense, right?
Kind of what I've been saying, I don't know, for a few weeks now.
Yeah.
Like the one team I don't get excited about playing in this playoff. I think everybody's beatable, but Georgia's one of the teams I'm like, that's a harder game.
Yeah.
Just because of their defense.
I mean, I don't know what the rushing stats ended up, but like I think in the third quarter, Texas had 30 rushing yards against Georgia. Now, obviously, we lean a lot on the run, so it's like if Georgia's shutting down the run, and Texas isn't a great running team, but they're good. Yeah.
They're good.
So it's like, we got to be able to run the ball on a team like that. So it would be a defensive battle. I'd take the under. I don't know what the under would be on that game, but take the under on Notre Dame, Georgia.
And
right?
our offensive line, we knew it was going to be a little suspect coming into the season.
Yeah.
We had some injuries and things got a little even more suspect, but they've gelled of late, and our offensive line has played phenomenal.
Yep.
But we have not played anybody the caliber of Georgia's defensive line all season. So, the USC test was a good test, but they didn't have the front seven that Georgia has.
Yeah.
Just did not. So, that's an interesting matchup for the Irish. And if Notre Dame were to find a way to beat Georgia,
definitely like us in the next matchup, right? I mean, you got SMU, Penn State, or Boise.
I would,
in a semifinal.
Yeah.
It feels like whoever wins that Notre Dame Georgia games
almost pencil them into the final.
See in the Natty, right?
To me, that is your semifinal game. It feels like the winner of the Georgia, assuming Notre Dame wins.
Yep.
The winner of that Georgia Notre Dame game should handle any of those three teams.
Yeah, Penn State put up a good dogfight against Oregon, but I don't see Penn State as being as good as people. I think they played really well the other night, but can they do that again? I don't think so.
Well, how good is Oregon?
I think Oregon's offense is solid.
Oregon beat Ohio State.
Yep.
They beat Penn State, and they beat Boise State.
Yep.
All by less than 7 points. Not a single game over 7 points, right?
Yep. Or 8 points last night.
8 points last night. The missed 2-point conversion.
Yeah, which was dumb. Again, James Franco, what are you doing?
So either Oregon State is so much better than everybody else, or Oregon's so much better than everybody else that you got to say Ohio State, Boise State, and Penn State are all much better than I expect.
Yep.
Or if you say, not sold on Ohio State after the Michigan loss, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on Penn State because Penn State's best win is 2 good losses.
Yep.
Are you sold on Boise State? They've got a really good running back, but
one-dimensional. I mean, they threw the ball decent against UNLV, but it was UNLV.
But who's the running back really dominated?
Yeah.
He had a good game against.
He had 3 touchdowns against Oregon. So,
Again,
but Oregon's defense is
how good is Oregon's defense?
Yeah.
See, that's
Oregon's
where
offense is going to put up some points.
that's where I feel like Notre Dame, because if he can run on Oregon, I think Notre Dame can run on Oregon.
Yep.
And the difference is we've got 3 guys.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't tell me that Price or Love in that same Boise State offense wouldn't have those same gaudy numbers.
Oh yeah.
I don't accept anything less than yes, they would.
Yeah.
So I just think maybe Oregon's more of a. I'm not convinced Oregon's as good as they appear to be.
I think what plays in Notre Dame's hand is we've shown we can put up points this year on teams that are suspect defense. So I mean, Oregon's offense is going to put up points. It would be a shootout. Like we were saying,
I would.
We're saying take the under in the Notre Dame Georgia game, take the over in the Notre Dame Oregon game, right?
Yeah, we were playing Oregon.
Like, in the theoretical matchup, that one's the one that's like, okay, if you take me back to week 1 and our whole defense is fully healthy, like I think our defense is playing great right now.
Yeah.
Oregon's going to be a fast-paced tempo team. Like your defense is going to be tired. You need the depth that we had to begin the season. These guys that have been backups, if they were playing some minutes against Oregon, like, okay, but now it's like, okay, now you're to your original 3 and 4 deep against a team like that would be interesting.
Oh, yeah, because I think that's probably the biggest thing for us is we don't have the depth now that we had at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
And you look at Oregon and the way they like to go up tempo and wear you down.
Yeah.
Like, can we hang with them? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is our depth where we'd like it for hanging with them? Not so sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that becomes an interesting matchup. So, I don't know. I mean, I got to give credit to Oregon because they're number 1. They've been number 1 and
haven't lost.
Haven't lost.
Only team in the country that has not lost.
But in the back of my mind, I'm still like, are they as good?
I think they're the best team in college football, proven to this point, right? No one's proven that they're not. They were undefeated. I mean, they're the best team right now.
I hear you.
I don't think it's far and away better than anybody.
Yeah.
They're marginally better.
I can't argue anybody belongs number 1 over them.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying it's margin. Like, there's been years where it's like a team in Alabama, a Clemson, that whatever year, 2018 LSU, where it's like, that's the best team in college football.
I mean, had Notre Dame beat NIU, we would have the argument to be number 1 team in the country, right?
Oh, yeah.
Hands down.
Yep.
Especially, but had we not beat NIU, we might have stumbled at USC. We might have stumbled at Louisville. We might not have the margin of victories that we've had. So it's hard to say. The what-if game can't be played. But, yeah, I mean, right now they've got the best record, and they've got the confidence of the voters in the AP and the coaches poll, and so they're number 1.
Yep.
But I think they're a flawed number 1. I think they're a beatable number 1.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I don't. No one can convince us right now that Oregon's not the number 1 team in the country because, well, that's proven that they're the only team that's undefeated. They've beat all the tests in front of them. They've done everything they're supposed to do. But it's not such a gap like we've seen in years past where it's like, man, you do not like.
Yeah, it was 2 teams in a peloton.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the Tour de France.
Yeah.
There's the 2 best cyclists in the world leading, and then there's a whole bunch of people 6 miles back, 10 minutes back that are just kind of together.
Now, we do have to talk about this. And we've said this since our first time explaining the college football playoff on this podcast, doing everything. That number 1 seed does not have an easy route.
No.
So if you're Oregon, you're sitting there, I believe in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
I think it's the Rose Bowl. Waiting on the winner of Tennessee, Ohio State. How great, if you're Oregon, are you feeling about that? I mean, you played Ohio State earlier in the season at home, and you won that game by a point in an instant classic. I mean, that you're not feeling necessarily lovely about that matchup. Again, a rematch. It's like we said, it's hard to beat a good team twice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just craziness to think, like, you're the number 1 seed, and you've got either Tennessee, who's put up some points. They've been a pretty good team this year. Like, they've kind of been under the radar the last few weeks. They haven't been playing as many teams, but they're going to be rested. They're going to be ready. They're going to battle Ohio State. I'm not sure where I'm going to go on that game. We'll give some picks next week for all the games because I think that'll be fun, all 4 games. But, yeah, so let's say you're Oregon, and then you beat either Tennessee or Ohio State. Then you've got Arizona State, Texas, or Clemson waiting for you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cultural playoff. There's 12 teams. Everyone's going to be good, right? But it's just like, that's not definitely the most ideal path of the number 1 seed.
And I think Clemson is a dangerous team in this playoff right now. I mean,
they've had the ball bouncing their way, right?
they're playing with house money, and
Yep.
they are feeling lucky.
Exactly. I mean, that's a team with some momentum. Why not us? What we a week ago when they lost to South Carolina, they thought they were done, and Syracuse beats Miami, and then they win the ACC championship, and boom, they're in.
They're in,
Like,
yeah.
just like that. So I mean, it's a team that things are going their way, right?
And it's interesting because how many transfer portal kids do they have on the Clemson
I
roster?
don't think very many. If all,
I believe the number's zero.
Zero. Yeah.
Right. So in this modern era, and you
Yep.
want to compare, like, everybody talks about the Ohio State and how Ohio State spent Google's
Bought their
of
team.
money and bought a team. Even IU. I mean, how many kids did they bring in the transfer portal from
Yeah.
James Madison to IU?
Yep.
Now, I get it. You came with your coach and you were having a good season, what have you. But, yeah, when you look at this, Clemson's kind of this outlier. Like, you don't have to hit the transfer portal hard
Yep.
in order to be successful. You can develop kids from within. So I think that makes Clemson, like, interesting.
Yep.
And I'm sure that everybody's going to tell me Texas.
Yeah.
I need to do a little more research.
Yeah.
How does Clemson match up to Texas? Because I think Clemson becomes a very
At
dangerous
least on the
team.
spread, right? 10.5 on that spread.
Oh, yeah. I like Clemson take covering.
Yeah.
I don't know about straight up winning, which is
Yeah.
what matters, but I like Clemson covering
Yeah.
for sure early.
So then you look at it. So that team that lost the Big Ten championship last night, let's run through their path. They're hosting SMU. SMU barely gets in over Bama. Penn State, when they saw their ranking, was like, please be SMU, please be SMU.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't want Bama. So this team, so obviously Penn State lost the Big Ten championship, and they don't get the bye. But if they win, they then get Boise State. And I'm not hating on Boise State whatsoever. I think Boise State's a good football team. They deserve that 3 seed. All that. Like, for this year, they deserved it. Third best conference champion, I think. I'm glad they got it over the Big 12. I'm glad they got it over ACC. Like, that's deserved. But now we got to talk about this. Penn State, who would you rather play if you're the Big Ten runner-up? Would you rather play in the second round Tennessee, Ohio State, or Boise State?
I
think I'd take my chances against Boise State.
I think maybe Arizona State might be the team I'd rather play than Boise State.
No, I'm just saying, though, from the situation that occurred,
yeah, but
if you're Oregon, would you rather play Ohio State, Tennessee, that winner, or Boise State?
Yeah, Boise State.
I mean,
yeah,
like
all day.
I mean, if you're the Big Ten champ, yeah, you got that bye week, but it's like, boy, I don't know about that one. So definitely an interesting thing there. So what you got over there?
I think Penn State is interesting because I'm not sold on Penn State, but they should beat SMU.
Yeah.
And they'll probably be favored over Boise State.
I'd imagine.
And
is that the Fiesta Bowl?
And that's the Fiesta Bowl.
Okay.
So, yeah, Penn State will have to travel out west. And I just think that makes it interesting because you're going to have a number 3 seed Boise State hosting a 6 seed Penn State.
Yep.
And Penn State may be favored by a touchdown.
Yeah.
Because for Penn State, they just got to be good defensive line wise.
Yeah.
Stop a running back. This kid's gonna be coming off a Heisman Trophy presentation. Just stop him.
Yep.
And he's probably, I don't know, he probably will win the Heisman Trophy.
He's not favored to win the Heisman.
He's not.
No.
Who's
By Travis Hunter. By
Hunter. Well,
by
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah. The argument's there for Hunter though.
Yep.
But I mean, he's gonna be in New York City.
Yep. He will be.
I mean, that's for sure. So yeah, you go into that, and it's like, I just find the whole thing interesting. You're going to have Penn State. It appears that Penn State maybe has the easiest path to the semifinal.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
And maybe Oregon has the hardest path to the semifinal.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see who you're going to argue with. The Oregon's got the tougher. I mean, you got to play one game, I guess, is the only argument there. But yeah, Tennessee, Ohio State. I mean, that's just. I mean, I
whoever
think
wins that game is going to be.
Yeah,
they're going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're hoping that Tennessee wins that if you're Oregon, because you don't want to play Ohio State for a second time. Like, I think that's the only thing. Just because you've played, you know them, like they know you. You beat them by a point at home. I mean, that's just a game where it's like, I always say this: you can't. It's hard to beat a good team twice. Like that's.
And if my memory serves me right, wasn't it Ohio State where the quarterback took a slide and took time off the clock? I mean, like
it was very, very close to going the other way.
It was as much Ohio State beat themselves as you beat Ohio State.
Oh yeah.
had you lost to Ohio State, you'd have said we lost by 2 in a close game. And,
Yeah.
I mean, now you go to a neutral site and
Yeah. Rose Bowl. I mean, Big Ten, Pac-12, Rose Bowl again. I mean, how great is that, right?
yeah,
So, yeah, that's definitely an interesting one. But, I mean, from the Irish standpoint, let's get back to this. I mean, you've got Notre Dame, IU, 8 p.m. That's going to be a late game on a Friday night. It's going to be awesome. Like, I am so excited for it.
It's going to be so phenomenal.
Like, and we're looking at tickets because we're in a lottery for tickets.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't talked about this at all. I mean, we're hoping. Like, that's all. We've got hope right now, right? That's all we've got because we don't know.
Right now, we don't have guaranteed. We're not season ticket holders. We don't have any guaranteed seats.
Yep. So what the scary part is, if you're looking on the old SeatGeek right now for this game, I think let's go a week ago. I think these tickets were at $200 for a potential Notre Dame home game. And
face value is like 160.
Yeah. And they're like 200, 220.
So people were marking them up, but not a bunch.
Then the rankings come out last Tuesday, and it's looking like Notre Dame, Alabama.
Yeah.
And if SMU wins that game, that's probably what we have.
Yeah. Alabama's coming to town.
And those tickets went to about 500, I think they were.
Yeah.
It got announced today, and now the cheap for Notre Dame IU, and those cheapest tickets are 1,300.
I saw mine something, but
okay,
that's probably before fees.
I was saying I'm with fees on SeatGeek.
Okay, so
I always have with fees on. 1,300 with fees.
Yeah, that's pro tip if you're looking at tickets, whether it's any one of those sites.
Yeah,
always turn the filter on to see the price with fees.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll get hit with a 30%, 40% surcharge. You're like, what? I thought this was $1,000. Yeah, I looked, but I didn't turn on any filters or anything. So
and here's our tip for you: if you're looking at like legitimately going to this game, hold off on buying right now. I mean, that's what I would think, right? Like, I don't think they're going to go up much more from there.
No,
because we find out Tuesday if we get ours before at the latest, right?
Yeah. So the way I understand it, and just I'm not the expert.
Yeah.
I'm not Notre Dame tickets. I haven't talked to somebody from Notre Dame tickets, other than being associated the way we are. I think right now they're offering tickets to
season ticket holders.
And
that's what you're seeing on the recent.
If you're a season ticket holder, I've heard a couple different things, but the best I can understand, or the best I can figure, is you get, for every season ticket you have, you get a guaranteed seat for the college football playoff if you want it. And then it goes into a opportunity to buy up to 4 per account. So if you have 4 season tickets, you can get your 4 season tickets plus 4 more.
Yep.
If you have 2 season tickets, you can get your 2 season tickets plus 4 more.
Is the rumor.
That's
not
the rumor.
confirmed.
I don't know that's confirmed. That's kind of what I'm hearing in the channels and the groups that I'm in and about and around. And if that's the case, then you're probably going to have season ticket holders take up all the seats, and then they're going to control the secondary market, and that's where it's going to go. If the season ticket holders do not get all the seats, and now I have heard one person say they thought that the season ticket holders were going to get a chance to go into the lottery for the additional tickets. So they get their guaranteed tickets, and then they get to go into the lottery. I can't imagine any season ticket holder not taking their season tickets for this game. I mean, it's can't.
Why not?
Now there's some wine and cheese crowd, as people like to call them. They don't like the cold weather. They're not excited about setting a Notre Dame stadium on a Friday night in 40-degree weather.
Weekend before Christmas.
The weekend before Christmas.
Yeah.
But they've got family members, kids, somebody who will want to be at that game.
Oh, sure, I'll take those.
Yeah, you'll get the tickets. I'll take them, uncle, aunt, grandma, whoever.
Yeah.
So mom, dad. I mean, all the season ticket holders are going to take their season ticket allotment. And then the question is, how do they give those additional ticket opportunities to them? And I think we had a little bit of a clue when we played Ohio State at home.
Yeah.
They did the same sort of a thing. And there were no tickets available to the general public.
Nope.
They were pretty much,
lottery, no.
Yeah.
Or if there was a lottery, it was even more exclusive than this.
Yeah. So what I'm not sure about is how many season tickets holders there are,
and how many extra,
extra they're allowed, and when they're allowed to buy them.
Yep.
So Notre Dame has said season ticket holders, lottery by Tuesday, and then general public, if necessary, by Thursday.
That's not happening. Especially since we're playing IU, there's no chance Notre Dame puts out general public access.
I don't see that if the season ticket holders don't swipe them all up, the lottery will. Now, it's my understanding that It was my understanding when I read about this early on that the college football playoff committee, they control the tickets. Notre Dame is just the broker here. They're just the pricing and the allotments and everything.
Sell them how you normally do. We take the money.
Exactly.
Yep.
And Notre Dame gets a fee.
Yep.
But the money goes to the college football playoff committee. It was my understanding that if Notre Dame normally has 8,000 student tickets,
Yep.
then they're going to be allowed to have 8,000 student tickets for this game.
Yep.
They're not going to be said, nope, student tickets got to be, because student tickets I think are $30 a piece.
30, 35, somewhere around there, yeah.
Something like that. So I could see the college football playoff committee saying 10,000 student tickets, 8,000 student tickets. Why don't we make that 3,000 and there's another 5,000 seats that we can sell at $200 a piece?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a small chunk of change for the college football playoff committee.
Exactly.
Now, all the big money's coming in from
TV revenue.
TV rights,
Yeah.
TV revenue. But come on, this is end of the day. This is all about making money.
Yeah.
And I'll go back to my original theory, my hot take. Have you looked at the 4 teams that are hosting?
Yeah. 80,000, 100-some thousand, 100-some thousand. I don't know what Texas holds. Do you?
100. I think it's 100,000.
Is it really?
I think you've got.
We're the smallest hosting stadium.
We're the smallest hosting stadium at 80,000.
70 or 79, whatever.
And we're still in the top 15, like stadiums size-wise.
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan's not in, and Tennessee's not hosting.
Yeah.
But A&M's not in. But like,
Yeah.
I think you got 3 of the top 10 size stadiums represented hosting home games.
Yeah.
Really convenient the way that worked out.
It is, isn't it?
I don't know. But there's a few $1 million to be made there. And I know some people are like, oh, it's all about the TV money. But
Yeah.
hey, if you could get a 2%, 3%, 5% bonus from work
Yeah.
on your annual salary, you'd take it. And that's what we're talking about here. This could be a 3, 4, 5% bump.
Yeah.
Just by going to larger stadiums.
Yep.
It's, Signity will say this is why IU's not hosting because they can only seat 50,000 there at Memorial. So yeah, I think that becomes very interesting in the whole thing, in the whole like landscape of who's hosting, not hosting. How much it plays in, I don't know. I don't trust the committee, but I also know this is a money grab.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see where they go and how they go in the future. Because now I think I don't want to talk about it too much, but we got this year and next year of the 12 team, and then it's up in the air whether it's going to stay at 12 or go to 16. And Alabama's just an argument to go to 16 this year is all it is. And I thought it was interesting, just speaking of Alabama, going off topic for a second here, but Nick Saban was on and he was talking about like he felt Alabama was a better team than SMU.
Mm-hmm.
And he also turned around and said, but SMU was ranked ahead of Alabama, so they couldn't jump them. So like he thought the committee got it right in the way they handled this week, but he thought previous weeks Alabama should. And I think we felt the same way for 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
We've said Notre Dame should have been ahead of Penn State.
Yeah.
And they weren't. So now you get to the final weekend, you don't punish Penn State for losing a conference championship game to the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah.
But they shouldn't have been ahead of Notre Dame to begin with.
No.
Now, would I have liked to have that 5 seed? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like that. I think that's the easiest path.
Yep.
But I don't hate the Notre Dame path.
I hate the 7 seed. Yeah, the 6 seed where Penn State is, I would not be complaining if Notre Dame was in that spot though. But here we are.
Best part about our seed,
Yep,
is if we win our first game,
Yep,
we're going to the Sugar Bowl.
Yep.
If somehow we can secure tickets,
Yep,
that's an easier place to travel to, either via car or via plane.
Yep.
Then the Fiesta Bowl's a lot harder.
Yeah, Fiesta was a little farther.
I mean, not that we've looked, but maybe we have.
Maybe we've been browsing around.
But getting from Northeast Indiana to the Phoenix area, there's limited flights.
Not a lot around Phoenix. I was finding now. I've never been.
Not a lot. Yeah, you're 4 or 5 hours drive to the next closest airport,
which is Vegas again. Yeah,
back to, which is always fun, right?
Yeah,
always go to Vegas.
But yeah, it's like San Diego 6, Vegas is 5, and it's like it's not. Phoenix doesn't have a lot of airports, it's not an easy place to get to from Indiana. I realized, especially around Christmas, around New Year's,
and I mean we're in Northeast Indiana. We can drive in 2 hours to either Indianapolis or Detroit, which are large airports.
Yep.
We could make South Bend in a couple hours.
We could make Chicago in 3 hours. Cincinnati in 3.
Cincinnati in 3. Louisville in 3.
Yeah.
Dayton is just a little over 2 hours. We got a lot of airport choices if we want to drive an hour or two.
Yep.
Or 3 hours opens up a whole lot of airport choices.
Yeah.
You can't drive 3 hours from Phoenix and maybe Tucson, which is a small international airport.
Yeah.
That's probably the closest. And you might be able to catch a discount airline, going to Tucson or something.
But this time of year, I mean, New
But-
Year's Eve, yeah.
Well, even flying to Vegas. I mean, Vegas is happening
yeah,
on
New Year's
New
Eve.
Year's. I mean, people are going to see Bruno Mars.
Oh, of course, why wouldn't they?
I would.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that makes it interesting. So for us, I like the path we're in.
Yep.
I like the fact that Notre Dame has to beat a blue blood.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Because here's what's going to happen, right? You're going to start, if you haven't started hearing it yet, you're going to start hearing it now. Notre Dame doesn't belong in. We don't have the resume, blah, 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 blah. Hey, we beat Army, and Army was a conference champion.
Yep.
I mean, we got one bad loss to NIU. It's a loss and a half. I get it.
Yep.
But we've played every conference, and we're undefeated in every conference except the MAC. Like, tell me who we haven't beat.
Yep.
We beat Big Ten teams.
Yep.
Right?
We
beat SEC team.
Yep.
Like, we beat all the ACC teams we played.
Yep.
Why not us? Like,
yep.
Tell me who, yes, the MAC's a bad loss.
Yeah.
But
that was week 2.
Week 2 loss to 2 points to NIU is much better than 3 losses here, 3 losses there.
Yep.
So, yeah, we're going to hear it. We're going to hear that. So, if we had got the Boise State SMU path to the finals,
there would have been a lot of.
It would have been undeserving, overrated, overhyped.
Yep.
If you beat Georgia, and this is a good Georgia team.
Yeah.
But you
beat the SEC champ.
Yeah. You beat the SEC champ.
Not just an SEC team.
You beat the SEC.
The best team in the SEC.
Theoretically.
I mean, that's what SEC champ, right? Like,
but how good is the SEC? Yep. And I think that's going to be an interesting. Everybody likes to talk about the SEC. They beat each other up.
Yep.
And if you look at historical bowls,
yep.
Like last year, I don't think the SEC had a winning record in their bowls.
Yep.
The year before, they didn't have a winning record in their bowls. The year before, they didn't have. And I know SEC people, if they're listening, they're going to say, Chad, that we don't care about those bowls. If it's not the national championship, our players don't play. We have guys sit out. Yeah, I get it. That's their argument. But
we should be seeing Georgia versus either Tennessee or Texas again then, right?
That's what you would say.
Yep.
I mean, if Tennessee and Texas don't make it, until they have to knock it, if they don't go undefeated until they play another SEC team, how good is the SEC?
Yep.
I mean, there's an argument there. And of course, I think the playoff committee is saying they value Big Ten over SEC.
Oh, so the Big Ten got IU, Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon. So they got 4 where the SEC got, is that right? The SEC got Tennessee, Texas, and Georgia.
Yeah. And so Oregon's 1.
Yep.
Georgia's 2.
Yep.
Okay. And then who's got the next highest seed at 5? Texas.
Yep.
And then you go Penn State at 6.
Yep.
And then who's at 7?
We're
at 7.
Yep.
And then you go into
Tennessee
at 8.
9.
Or 9. And then you go
Ohio State's 8.
Yeah, Ohio State 8, Tennessee 9.
IU
so
10.
yeah, you keep back and forth, but then IU gets that 4th team, or Big Ten gets that 4th team in IU. So I think it's interesting, but for Notre Dame, we've got to beat somebody that's of significance.
Yeah, and that's why I really wanted that SEC team come in Notre Dame Stadium for that round 1 game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like it's whatever. We're playing IU. We're gonna beat IU. That's my take. But I would have loved to have seen Alabama come, and then we couldn't hear the crap. Well, you beat IU.
Yeah,
because that's what I fully expect.
But even then, people are gonna be like, "Oh, you beat a terrible IU."
Yep, exactly.
I mean, what did I hear? What did I hear?
Yep.
You heard we're gonna get upset alert against SC.
Well, it started off the year. You're gonna lose to A&M. You're gonna lose to A&M. Then we beat A&M. Well, A&M's the 5th or 6th best SEC teams are here by the end of the year. Like, okay, but you ranked as the hardest place to play in college football. Like all the SEC schools.
Yeah, you're going to A&M at night. It's the hardest place.
Yeah, you guys
play.
Not a chance. And then upset alert against Army, upset against Navy. I mean,
upset alert against SC, upset alert against Louisville.
Yeah.
I mean, like the only upset they didn't call was the NIU upset.
Yep,
that's the one we stubbed our toe on.
Yep.
Every other game they kept calling upset, and then it's classic Notre Dame. You're overrated. You're on upset alert. Then you win, and you win convincingly. Well, they weren't that good of an Army team.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not that good of an Army team.
Yep.
Well,
not a good Navy team. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, no, they were a top 25 team.
Yep. We gave USC their only 2-loss score of the year.
Yeah.
Against this tough Big Ten team that got 4 schools in.
Yeah.
Like,
we give everybody after NIU their worst loss of the year.
Yep.
Everybody.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, that's your argument. You're going to hear it. But hey, who else played SEC Big Ten? And
ACC, yeah.
and ACC and went undefeated.
Yep.
Like, who else?
Oregon.
Yeah. I mean,
They didn't play all three, but you get the point.
I mean, we played 3 of the Power 4 conferences.
Yep.
And we didn't lose a game in those.
Yep.
We want to talk about the MAC. The MAC's mighty.
Yep.
If we're going to join a conference, I suggest we join the MAC. No, let's not join the MAC. Let's
Okay.
join the Mountain West.
Okay, there we go.
Actually, let's revive the Pac-12. Why not
Yeah.
Notre Dame to the Pac-12?
Why not, huh?
We could be a 4-team.
Show them the
force.
shirt. Show
Yeah.
them the shirt. Come on now. Yep, there we go.
We're not joining conferences.
Yep.
In fact, I think the argument's going to be, and we talked about this off and on different times. I think conferences are going to go away in the next 5 years.
Yep.
You even heard a little bit today on the broadcast where they were talking about college football playoff, and I heard Herb Street going, we need this super committee get together and make.
Did you want the SEC playoffs? Is what I forget who it was, but someone said that, and that cracked me up.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm excited. I know you are.
Oh, I'm super stoked. Super stoked. One is we felt coming into this season, this was the best Notre Dame team we've had in a long time.
Yeah.
And I will dare say this may be the best Notre Dame team I've seen in 30 years.
Yeah. Definitely my life.
And we're going back to 93, 94 time period. And this team, I think, rallies around that level of team. I'm not ready to put us back 35 years and throw us out to the national championship.
Yeah.
But I think this team has a chance to make that run, and I'm not penciling us in. I'm not.
Oh no, it's not a lock.
I'm not trying to figure out how to get myself to the national championship game just yet.
Yeah.
But I like this way it stacks up, and I think it was CFB I saw that they gave Notre Dame, based on the schedule, like the highest chance of making the national championship game. So when you look at how we line up, I think we line up very favorably against IU.
Yeah.
Their strength and our strength go against each other on their offense passing and our offense
and our defense.
Defensive pass defense.
Yep.
I think you can run on IU, and I think we will.
Yep.
Then you look at Georgia, and I feel it's the same thing. I think running on Georgia is much more difficult, but I think a running quarterback like Riley Leonard can neutralize that.
And that's what I'm surprised we didn't see
factor.
more Arch Manning yesterday, but that's a story for another day. But
yeah, well, I've heard rumors when Ewing's talking about coming back.
Yeah.
And do you want Arch to go in the transfer portal?
Yeah.
But maybe it's Arch. He knows he doesn't have to go in the transfer portal. I mean, he can probably play a handful of downs in college and still get Jim Irsay will pick him at the Colts.
Yeah,
Nobody else
first
will.
round. Exactly.
I mean, Anthony Richardson's a heck of an athlete. But Jim Irsay will bet with his heart, not his head sometimes. And so Arch Manning will get picked up in the NFL. Somebody will.
Probably in the first round. But yeah, I mean, this is it's going to be awesome.
So I think we could match up with Georgia.
Yep.
And then if you get by Georgia,
I like the semifinals.
I like that semifinal. I mean, again, now we're back to Penn State,
Boise State.
Yep. Like maybe SMU.
Yeah.
But give me any one of those 3 teams.
Yep.
So then you're down to you're the national champion. I feel like Clemson or Ohio State's going to come out of that other side.
I think so.
Gut just tells me Ohio State's a better team.
Yeah.
And they're going to rally here. They've got to rally. Ryan Day's got to rally.
Yep.
If Ryan Day loses this first round game, as tough as it's going to be,
he's out.
He may not have a job.
Yeah.
And I just think, okay, Ohio State at home versus Tennessee. I like Ohio State in that game.
Yeah.
I think Clemson is going to win their first round game against Texas.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not there yet, but I do like that matchup for him.
I think that's favorable to Clemson. And then you go into okay, can Clemson knock off Oregon?
Yep.
Can Ohio State knock off Oregon? I think, Ohio State definitely can knock off Oregon. And I think maybe, Texas can. Clemson can.
Yep.
So, but I just feel like it's Clemson, Oregon. And so it's okay, now you're Notre Dame and you're going to be facing Clemson or Ohio State. We should have beat Clemson last year. We collapsed.
Yep. Just fell apart down the stretch.
We fell apart. Ohio State, 2 years in a row, we should have beat Ohio State.
Yep.
And I think we're better this year.
And are they better than they've been? Don't think so.
They're more athletic. I don't think they're better.
Yeah.
They're a better talent, but I don't think they're a better team.
Yeah.
So, it's okay, this is favorable. I mean, we said at the beginning of the season, we felt like Notre Dame had the team to make a run. Marcus Freeman, we can talk about all the year three stuff, all these things. I mean.
And when we came into the season, what did we want? Home playoff game.
Yeah, that's it. Start with that.
Yep.
So, and again, we need to win a bowl game of significance.
Yep.
We haven't won a bowl game of significance. Give me the Sugar Bowl against
Georgia
SEC champ.
Yep. I'll take that.
I mean, let the dogs bark. Let's see what happens.
Yep.
So,
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Irish 365 podcast. I mean, we're going to be back with you. I mean, we're excited. College football playoff. That's our instant reactions. I'm sure as our thoughts will go on, we'll see different things. We'll get different updates as this next 12 days goes on. We'll be back. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Irish 365 podcast.
you can find us wherever you get your podcast.
We are on YouTube, X, Instagram, and Facebook.
Just search for Irish 365 Pod.
And you can always reach us at our email, irish365pod@gmail.com.
Good night.
And God bless.